Hello everyone, I'm Baruffy1322 and welcome to another GTA discussion video where I'm going to be talking in a lot more detail about the January 2016 update to GTA, where we got two brand new vehicles, the Sultan RS and the Banshee 900R. I normally make one of these videos after every DLC or every update where we get new vehicles and talk in a lot more detail about them, give my thoughts and just sort of ramble on a little bit about, you know, what I think about all of the stuff that's been in the latest DLC. And you would be forgiven for thinking that this video may be quite short because we've only got two cars to talk about, but you would be very wrong on that because there's a hell of a lot I need to get through in this. There's a lot of stuff that I need to talk about and air out my thoughts, and generally I'm going to rant a little bit, which I'm known to do from time to time, but this is probably going to be on another level entirely. So if that's not something that you enjoy, if you don't enjoy my rambling style videos, fair enough, I completely understand. But for those of you who are watching this and maybe not necessarily want to watch it all in one go, I've put some links in the description which can take you to specific parts of the video. So basically what I'm doing with this video is splitting it up into three specific parts. We've got the good, we've got the bad, and we've got the ugly. So those are the three parts to this video, and if you watch the first part and then you want to sort of leave and come back again, you can just go in the description, click the link to the timestamp, and you'll be taken straight to that part of the video to hear my thoughts on that. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier, but without further ado, let's just get straight into it. And I'm going to start with the good. So the good, the good of this DLC is very, very good. You know, there's so much great stuff in there. And if you watch that GTA Live video that I put up of me basically streaming, it was basically a complete replay of the stream. And the reason that I did that is because my reactions during that were completely genuine reactions. A few people left a comment who said, you know, fake over the top reactions. And I think those are people who sort of don't know the channel and don't know me, were seeing that video and me in general for the first time. But, you know, those were all completely genuine reactions, and I was absolutely astounded at some of the things that we saw with the customization for these cars. It was absolutely incredible. It's basically they looked into my mind and said, what does this guy want in the game? And just put it there in Benny's. You know, I took the Sultan RS and the Banshee 900R into Benny's, and when I saw those interior modifications in particular, the steering wheels with the paddle shifters, the interior dashboard, all of the dials and the racing seats, the bucket seats, the harnesses, the roll cages, and then on the exterior of the car you've got all like so many different bumper options, all the different big wings and racing style wings and drift wings, the wide body panels. Oh, everything was absolutely incredible. And you know, my reactions in that video, my live reactions pretty much showed it, because that was all completely true to what I was thinking at the time. I just couldn't process that they'd put all of this stuff in, because it's what we've been wanting for so long. Back in sort of more than a year ago, I talked about a race cars class and a racing DLC. The video that I made specifically for the race cars class was about how we could have the current sports cars like the Coquette, the Comet, you know, all those kind of things that get turned into a race car like the Jester and the Massacro had, and the idea was that they would be all well balanced and maybe in a race cars class themselves, and they would have liveries on like the Jester, like the Massacro, and that would be it, and we would be happy with that. This kind of sort of blew all of those ideas out of the water, and it was so much better than I could ever have imagined in terms of all the modifications that we got. Now, obviously when the Lowriders update came out, I did actually mention in the analysis video for that how good it would be if we could take in the future sports cars into Benny's and upgrade them with race car modifications. So these are sort of things that you know, the modifications that we're seeing now are things that I've talked about before, are things that I've definitely mentioned and pushed for and hoped for before in previous videos. And obviously you can check back in this series to see those videos. I'll leave any links to videos that I talk about in this video in the description as well. But when you never expect to see these things. You give these suggestions for racing liveries on cars, all of the racing interiors and things like that. I give all these suggestions out because I would really love to see them, but I never expect to actually see them in the game. And then suddenly we did, and it was a total surprise as well, which was really, really nice. There was no leaks about these vehicles. They just happened to appear. We took them into Benny's, and that was it. It was done, and we had all of these amazing things. And the cars look stunning as well. You've got to say that. I could never really get off with the Sultan as it was in GTA 5. I used to love the Sultan RS in GTA 4, but I could never really get off with the regular Sultan in GTA 5. It's great to have that Sultan RS back. The wide body arches, the wheel arches. The same with the Banshee. The Banshee looks absolutely incredible when it's upgraded and turned into the 900R. The cars themselves are absolutely fantastic, and I love the direction that they've gone with them in terms of the modifications. And it would be absolutely amazing if we get more cars like that. And I just, have to say a massive thank you to Rockstar for maybe they did listen to some of my ideas in previous videos, and this is what's led to that. But just thank you for putting these things in, because it means a lot, and they're incredible, and they're just something that I've wanted to see for so long finally realized in the game. So maybe in the future we will see some other cars being able to be able to be tuned at Benny's, some more sport cars with race modifications, and that would be great. That would be absolutely fantastic, as long as they don't stick them in, maybe some of them in the vans class, some of them in the muscles class, and then just hide the rest in the muscles class, because that takes everything now. Maybe one of them in the sedans class, why not, as long as they don't do that they would be good. And that kind of brings us nicely on to the next part of the video, and that is the bad. So we've had the good, that's got that all over with. Now it's time to get into the bad. Rockstar, Rockstar, Rockstar. What are you doing? Now, some people seem to think that I need to have every single car that comes to the game be on the pace of the top cars in a class, or potentially beat the top cars in a class already. That's not the case. That's absolutely not the case. It couldn't be further from the truth. I am well aware that not everybody races on GTA. I'm well aware that GTA isn't a racing game. All cars that are introduced into the game don't need to be on the top level and well balanced. It makes no sense for some of the cars to be like that anyway. Some cars are meant to be slow, and they're meant for other things. And that's absolutely fine. I get that, and I understand that. I do think that when new cars are brought in, there is an opportunity there to make classes more balanced. But if they don't want to do that, if the cars don't necessarily fit their vision of doing that sort of job, then fair enough, I can take that. And to a certain extent, I can understand the performance of the Banshee 900R and the Sultan RS. Now, I'm guessing everybody has seen the testing videos at this point. They know, you all know that the Banshee is way off the pace, and it's actually slower than a regular Banshee. You're well aware that the Sultan, it's better than a regular Sultan, but it's not that much quicker. But I can understand. I can sort of make my brain work in such a way that I can justify the decisions that they made with that. Maybe they intended that the Banshee 900R would be a drift car. So if you're converting a vehicle into a drift car, you're loosening up the back end. You're not making it quite as good in a track situation. So when a Banshee is converted into a car that's meant to be just for drifting, it would get a little bit slower in a racing situation, but it becomes a better drift car. Same for the Sultan. The Sultan is meant to be a rally car. I think that's pretty obvious. And rally cars aren't going to be on the pace of, say, proper thoroughbred racing cars like we see with the Massacro and the Jester. So that's why the Sultan RS isn't on the pace of the Massacro and the Jester race cars. I can understand that. If that's really what they thought about that, and that's really the way that they went with that, I'm happy with that. Now, as it turns out, I'm fairly certain the regular Banshee is still better as a drift car than the Banshee 900R. and the Kuruma still dominates even the Sultan RS off-road. So if that was their intention, they haven't succeeded at it. But hey, that's just par for the course for Rockstar. What isn't par for the course for Rockstar, and what really annoys me, is putting them in the fucking supercars class. Really? Really? Do they look anything like supercars to you? The T20, the Osiris, the Zentorno, exotic, expensive supercars. They do not have liveries on them. They do not have huge wings with massive body kits. They are exotic supercars. These do not look in any way like a supercar, and the performance of the vehicles in no way suggests that they should be in the supercars class. To me, this is worse than the Blister Compact, and it's worse than the Blister Compact because it had so much potential to be better. Now, it was only a matter of time before they messed something up that was a lot more obvious to a lot of people, you know, those not in the racing community. And I tried my best to warn, you know, I've tried to help, I've done my best in the past, but it's finally happened, and everybody is beginning to sort of see it. You can see these bigger YouTubers are starting to wonder, you know, why are these cars in the supercars class? Why is that? You know, the general racing community are starting to think, wait, this isn't quite right. You know, the talking about the general community in GTA. Let's talk about the general GTA community. They don't race very often. You know, maybe you're someone who is watching this video from that general GTA community, and if so, you know, hello, welcome to the channel. We focus on racing here, but people in the general GTA community, they're not racing all the time. They're not necessarily bothered about being necessarily good at racing. They just do it for a bit of fun every now and again, and when they do it for a bit of fun every now and again, they pretty much normally race sports or supercar races, and that's totally understandable. You know, that is totally understandable. They're the fastest cars. There's a lot of choice in the sports cars class. They're the most expensive. It's only natural. So the general community as a whole aren't going to notice the examples that we've been putting forward for a long time. They're not going to notice that there's a problem with the Blister Compact being in the sports class instead of the supercars class, instead of the compacts class. They're not going to notice the Shafter V12 armoured version being 4 seconds per lap quicker than the next best sedan and should have been in the sports class. They're not going to notice that the Sterling GT is completely overpowered because they're generally not racing sports classic races. Same for the muscle class, you know, the Nightshade and the Tampa. They don't necessarily realise that those cars could have been so much better and been on the pace of the Dominator in the muscle cars class because, you know, they're just not bothered, and that's totally fine. But now, this is something that is in the open. This is in the area that people, not just who don't just race but do other things, this is something that they all see because it's what they're using. As these bigger YouTubers do these drag races, they're not as scientific or as accurate as what the testing that I'm doing, but it doesn't matter because it's clear to see these differences. You're putting up a T20 against a Banshee 900R with a 10 mph top speed deficit, ridiculously slow in terms of acceleration and traction. It doesn't take a racing pro, if you like, I hesitate to use that word, but I can't think of anything else, to realise that there's something wrong here, and this is it's just so obvious that they have no place in the supercars class, and the general GTA community are starting to realise it. But not even 2 weeks ago, 2 episodes ago in this series, we had a huge push to get them to fix some of the most glaring issues to do with vehicle classes. Had I done that now, these vehicles would have been on that list as well. But we've tried, you know, we've done our best. We've tried our best to explain where we're coming from. We are the racing community. Not everybody races. We understand that, but we love the game so much that we want a bit of balance, and any balance that we're asking for in terms of car classifications and trying to explain to Rockstar why these classes are like they are, and the problems that we have with them, and the fact that we've looked into the game code and realized the differences between the cars, and some cars are just not meant to be where they are. It's not just for our own benefit, it's for the general GTA community, the benefit of everybody who ever races a car or even drives a car on GTA. You know, the things that we push for are just balance for the game in general. They're not just solely for the racing community, because everybody has a car in GTA. Everybody races to at least some degree in GTA. And now it's bitten them in their arse, really. You know, we've tried to tell them, and we just never get listened to. We just get ignored. They're just the racing community. We don't need to pay them any attention. They're just a small community. They take racing more seriously than everyone. They decide to wait if they knock somebody off in a race. You know, they're totally stupid. Why would you do that? So we just won't listen to them. And now it's biting them in the ass, because they've made a mistake that is not hidden away in one of the classes that only the racing community may regularly race. It's in full view in the most popular class in the game, and this is not even taking into account the fact that they advertised that these vehicles would be at the top of the supers class. That's still to come. That's going to be in the ugly part of this in this video. But yeah, it's just it just baffles me what they're doing with the game. And do they even listen to us? Do they even care anymore? The worst part about it is that I was duped. You know, I was completely caught up in it all. I saw all the stuff that we'd wanted for years, and it was all there right in front of my eyes. You saw the reaction in the live video. I absolutely loved it, and it was such a surprise. And then I took those cars out, I drove them, and I realized what they'd done with them, and the potential that these cars had to be something special, and they completely ruined it. It was a wonderful idea executed horribly. It just felt like a slap in the face, you know. It's like dangling a carrot, you know. Oh, you want a racing DLC? Oh, you mentioned in a video when Lowriders came out that you think it would be cool if we expand Benny's and give you some race modifications and relate it to various forms of motorsport. Oh, okay, sure, we'll do that. We'll give you these things. We'll give you the kind of things that you've always dreamed of from the game. We love the racing community, but we're not going to let you enjoy it. Now, never ever give us suggestions on how to make this game ever again. That's what it felt like. That is what it felt like. We know best. You're just a player. You're insignificant. How can you possibly know more than us? If we want to put these cars into a game and make them in a terrible class, we'll do it. We don't care. That's how it felt. It felt like they just. I know that it's totally self-centered to believe that they did it just to troll us in the racing community. You know, that's clearly not the case, but that's how it felt. It felt that they gave us everything that we wanted, and ruined it by the programming of the cars, the class system that they'd put in. They did all the work and then took it away from us immediately as soon as we drove these cars. I still love the cars. They still look absolutely fantastic, and I love all of the stuff that I mentioned in the first part of this video. But it just makes me lose faith that Rockstar, the people who are behind all of this, know what they're doing or even care anymore. You know, even from the outside, even from our perspective, it's so easy to see where the problems are. We're so involved in the racing part of the community. We know the problems with the cars. We look at the spreadsheets. We look at the game code directly. We can see all of the aspects of car performance in front of our eyes. We test the vehicles. How many videos have I made? How much time have I spent testing these vehicles, trying to get them to change some of these things, send the emails, upvote the topics. We've done all that we can do to try and improve the game and make it better for everybody. And constantly, we're always being ignored, and then a new update will come out and the decisions that are made for those cars are just totally unbelievable and ridiculous. I would really love to meet the people who are making these decisions. I would. The people who program the cars. The people who say what kind of class they should be in. I would just like to sit down and ask them, what the fuck are you doing? Like, seriously, do they not even care? Do they just not care anymore? Are they not bothered about this game? The game that we love and so many people in the GTA community love. It wouldn't matter if this was a terrible game for racing. It's a fantastic game. The cars themselves are absolutely unbelievable. The racing experience that you can have on this game, if it's done properly, is fantastic. And you can do everything else that you could possibly want to do in the game as well. That's what makes it so good. That's why so many people love it from so many different communities. But do they even understand? Do they even understand where we're coming from? Do they really know why the T20 is 3 seconds per lap quicker than the Sultan RS? Do they know why that's the case? It just when I see them make these mistakes time and time and time again, with no effort or acknowledgement or any kind of involvement in trying to fix them, as we've seen in the past, the Blister Compact is still in sport. Nothing's been done with the Sterling GT or the Shafter V12. The Moonbeam is still in the muscles class when it's perfectly balanced for vans. I start to lose faith that they really either know what they're doing or just give a damn about the game anymore, frankly. And I guess that brings us on to the worst part about this whole thing. Because if you thought I was pretty down and downbeat about everything that I've just mentioned, that was only the bad. This is the ugly. This is by far and away the thing that got me most annoyed when thinking about this DLC. It still gets me annoyed now, and I'm probably going to get annoyed again. I do apologise, by the way, for the swearing. You know, I do try to keep these videos quite professional normally, but for something like this, I just, you know, what can I do? I just have to let my rant get out there and take what comes. But this is the last part of the video, and it's entitled The Ugly. We've had the good, we've had the bad, this is the ugly. And it all revolves around one specific thing that was mentioned in the Rockstar Newswire post. And it's this. When fully modded, the Sultan RS and the Banshee 900R can even compete with the top tier supercars like the Zentorno and the T20. That came directly from Rockstar. That was in the Rockstar Newswire post, the announcement for this DLC. They talked about the new cars, they explained about them, and then they said that. Now some people have tried to, let's say, rationalize it a little bit by saying they meant that they can compete with supercars because they're in the supercars class. But no, they actually say they can even compete with the top tier supercars like the Zentorno and the T20. To compete with something means that you're on the same level. You can use it to win. You can use it to have a good race, which, as we've seen from the testing videos, is not true in the slightest. It is a complete lie, and this got me really angry on Twitter at the time, because to me that is false advertising. There's no other way to look at it than that. They've basically just lied to sell shark cards. Shark cards are going to be sold. Shark cards are definitely going to be sold in quite large numbers when new vehicles come out in particular, but when vehicles such as this come out, as we saw how successful the lowriders were, people are going to buy shark cards to buy these cars. And if they see a Rockstar Newswire post directly from the makers of the game, this is Rockstar themselves telling people that the 2 brand new cars that they've just added to the game are so fast that they are on the pace of the Zentorno and the T20. So people buy a shark card and think, oh, I really like all those visual modifications, but it's also going to be able to be quicker than a T20 anyway, so I might as well buy that. And yeah, well, I'll get a shark card, I'll do that. It's just a complete lie, and it really, really, really pisses me off. It's just so dishonest. It's just, I just couldn't believe it when I saw it, because it's completely untrue. And I pretty much gave the game away on Twitter before I'd even released the video that these 2 cars were slow, because I was so incensed by this part of the Newswire post. I just basically came out and said that is a complete lie and it's totally false advertising. And it makes me feel like these vehicles are just a cash grab. They're just a way to get some extra shark card sales. Yeah, we'll release some videos that are to do with racing, so that maybe we'll placate the racing community a little bit. But the main point is that we'll sell some shark cards, because these are some quite involved and very, very different vehicles. And they're pretty clever about it, you know. They're very good at exploiting all of it by only releasing 2 cars at a time. You know, they may have other cars that we've still got to release, but they release 2 first off, so that people buy both of those cars, and then maybe a month down the line they'll release another 2, and then a month down the line they'll release another 2, so people continually buy the shark cards to buy these new vehicles, rather than, say, releasing 6 or 8 cars in one go and making people have to have a choice where they'll only buy 2 out of the 6. No, people were more likely to buy all 6 if they're released at different times. And when you look at all of this together, with the fact that the price of these cars is so expensive, yes, you get all of the visual modifications, that's fine, you know, I can understand it. But you've got cars in the game that are incredibly cheap in comparison, that are so much quicker in a racing situation, which again is totally fine because it's all about the visual modifications with these 2 brand new cars. But then they advertise that it can even compete with the top tier supercars. They actually say that. It's not right. It's just not right. To me, it's sickening. It's totally disingenuous, and it just pisses me off so much. And that is why this is the ugly part of this video. It's not about the performance. I could, although I'd be really annoyed, I could get over it. It's the fact that they're sort of making sure people buy these cars by just lying about them, and that is the worst part to me. So, all because of this, you know, at this point I think I'm just done. I'm pretty much done. I'm done trying to bother helping. I'm not in any way interested in giving Rockstar feedback because it always gets ignored. I'm not in any way bothered about whether they fix the performance of the vehicles or fix the car classes, because it's not going to happen anyway. We've never seen it changed in the past with any of the other classes. We've done our best, we've sent the emails, we've upvoted the topics. So what? What's come of it? Nothing, because they don't listen, they just don't care. It's all about the money, it's all about the shark card sales. So I'm done. I'm not going to try and bother. I do have one last idea, which I'm going to put up in the next video, the next episode of this series. It will basically be my final solution that Rockstar could do to make things right, whilst sort of making it a little bit easier for them to do it, and sort of try to make everybody happy without going into significant details. And I'll explain all that in the next episode of this series. But it's basically my final solution. You know, from this point on, just this DLC has made me feel like, what's the point in even bothering anymore? Let's enjoy the game. Let's enjoy it for what it is. Let's host the Multi-Class Endurance Championship, the 3rd season of that. We'll deal with the class system as it is. We'll make our own events and do what we can with the game that we've got. But there's just no point in me trying to give ideas to help improve the game any further when we get DLCs that are like this. And it's absolutely fantastic that we have seen cars like this with all of these race modifications. but the rest of it, it's just absolutely unforgivable in my opinion. And that's all I've got to say. I know that's all I've got to say. It's a half an hour long video, you idiot. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all of my thoughts. I had a wall of notes about this, and it's good to finally sort of get it out and say it. Again, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. This has been a long video. I'm sure there's a lot that you might want to respond to or leave a comment on. Go back, watch different parts, you know, do whatever you need to do. Comment, split up your comment into what you think about the good, the bad and the ugly. That may make sense. But yeah, leave a comment with your opinions. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching my content. I really do appreciate it. It's not to say that I'm not going to continue enjoying the game and continue making videos about it, but I'm not going to bother trying to make it a better experience for us anymore, because what's the point? And that's pretty much the taste that this DLC has left in my mouth for this. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you made it to the end as well, and I'll see you next time.